it all is deeply rooted in these studies that have been done for decades that we just didn't know about. So in this particular paper, one of the things that he starts out with in preparing this for his boss, whoever this agent was, is he said, in order to truly understand what we're doing here, you have to suspend the left side of your brain, the logical side, the analytical side, and tune into the right side of your brain, which is your intuition, creativity, and the subconscious.
Hello, you beautiful soul, and welcome to Empowering Vibez. Today, I have a beautiful, beautiful interview with Stephanie Keith. And in this interview, she explains the nitty-gritty science of how manifesting actually works. We're talking about the connection between money and spirituality, and also about what mindset you need to create the life that your heart truly desires. I wish you a wonderful time listening or watching this conversation, and let's get started. I am so excited and deeply grateful to have such an inspiring, astonishing guest on the show. Stephanie, welcome to Empowering Vibez, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I would like to start with your latest podcast episode because you have a podcast too, the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. And in your latest podcast episode, you were talking about the nitty-gritty science of manifesting. So I assume maybe we have somebody listening who knows, who heard about manifesting, who knows it exists, kind of believes in it, but then, there's always like a part of us that doubts it. And what would you say to that person?
So for me, the science has really been what strengthened my faith and belief in myself, my intuition, manifestation. And just to give a little background, I've always been super into science. I can just really geek out on it. I was in pharmaceuticals for 8 years, loved diving into the scientific studies. And even when I was a young kid, we were very open-minded. We didn't go to church or anything. My dad was really big on teaching us everything and having a really open mind and then letting us kind of decide what we thought about the universe. And even when I was a kid, I remember at night we would do these little scientific experiments with our bedding to make static. And then he would teach me about the moon and how it pulls the waves. So I've always just been very focused on how our universe and science and spirituality all comes together. And I just wanted to preface that because I think a lot of times our society separates the two, but now what we're finding out through, especially the field of quantum science, is that manifestation and all of these woo-woo type things actually have a lot of scientific data behind them. So with regards to my latest podcast episode, I just got so excited about it because I found some declassified CIA documents, which more and more is coming out now due to the Freedom of Information Act, where we can start to see some of the behind the scenes things that our government has been doing. And in this one particular document, I like to refer to it as the manifesting papers because everything that they test and study and talk about in this document all applies to expanding your consciousness, connecting with the universe, tuning into your intuition, and manifestation. Of course, they don't call it manifestation. They have different wording that they use, but it all is deeply rooted in these studies that have been done for decades that we just didn't know about. So in this particular paper, one of the things that he starts out with in preparing this for his boss, whoever this agent was, is he said, in order to truly understand what we're doing here, you have to suspend the left side of your brain, the logical side, the analytical side, and tune into the right side of your brain, which is your intuition, creativity, and the subconscious. And so the whole paper talks about different ways to kind of bypass the left side of your brain, which is like the BS meter. It's the side that will say, well, you can't manifest that big goal because that's not logical, or that's not practical, or, you're not enough, you're not good enough. Like, it's that side of our brain that does that. So they talked in this paper about ways to bypass that and go directly to the right side of your brain, to your intuition. And by doing that, you can achieve this level of expanded consciousness where you can literally connect with the electromagnetic field around you. You can connect with the universe, and you can get wisdom. You can manifest your desires into the physical realm. You can manipulate energy. So all kinds of really cool things that we all have the power to do. And we know, again, through science, through quantum entanglement, that we're all connected, and not just human beings, but everything in our universe is intertwined. Us sitting right here, we are connected to the edge of our universe. And they have all found this through this quantum entanglement. So anyhow, they talk about the 3 different ways to bypass the left side of the brain is through hypnosis, because hypnosis gets you into the theta brainwave state, which, for everyone listening, just remember the theta state because that's huge for manifestation. The other part is transcendental meditation, where you draw energy up your spine. And then the third is through what they refer to as biofeedback. But I refer to it as manifestation because it's about consciously visualizing your goals, affirming your goals, that type of thing in order to create your desired reality. And one of the things that I've been teaching for a really long time is about subliminals. Because again, subliminals, I call it like the back door into your subconscious mind, because again, it bypasses that conscious BS meter, and it puts affirmations directly into your subconscious. And your subconscious needs that repetition over time in order to shift beliefs. So for example, if you want to manifest $1 million, but you have this belief that millionaires are not good people, or being rich is greedy, or money is the root of all evil, your subconscious is going to purposely sabotage you because it wants to protect you from money if you think money is bad, if that makes sense. So subliminals can kind of help prime the subconscious mind for what you want. And they talk about this in the paper. They talk about subliminals. They talk about the use of theta waves, which is something that I pair with the subliminals, as well as binaural beats, and how all of these things together can reprogram your mind. They can heal your physical body. So in this paper, it was talking about literally healing cancer through your mind and using this energy. And it can, again, help you tap into the infinite wisdom in the universe, which we all have access to, but we've just been taught through our society and through schooling to turn that part off. Like, think about when you reach like middle school, how your teachers and your parents and everyone in your life, it's like, okay, it's time to get serious about your goals. Like, no more playtime. Stop dreaming. It's time to get real. That's not practical. And we're sort of taught to like not listen to that right side of our brain and only tune in to the analytical side, the left side of our brain. And this paper basically said that that is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. So I just find it so fascinating. And knowing that all of these studies have been done, even though I believe in manifestation, it's just like that extra confirmation, because even I get doubts sometimes. If something's not manifesting as quickly as I want it, I'll get that little seed of doubt. And then I remember the science behind it. And that kind of like wipes away any skepticism that I have. And it really strengthens that like, this is in fact real. The CIA, by the way, they have their own program called Gateway that does all of these things around manifestation, around subliminals, around hypnosis. So clearly, like if governments around the world are investing this much money in all of these energetic principles, there has to be something to it, right? They're not going to just blow money on something that's woo-woo, right? But they know it works and they have science to back it up. So I just get so excited. Obviously, I've been rambling about it. I get really excited about this because it's like we're on the cutting edge of proving all of these things scientifically. And I think it's amazing.
This is so fascinating. And I really feel like that we are, as you say, on the edge to like a new area, to a new era where like spirituality is just something that will be such a part of our life, just like career or money. Like it will be so normal that we talk about spirituality, that we have our spiritual practices. And I think it will be just a kind of like a cornerstone or like a part of our health and our whole self-care routine. And I find that so fascinating. So thank you so much for sharing.
Well, and the thing too is like that used to be normal. You know, in ancient civilizations, they were very in tune to their intuition and spirituality, and they had all of these practices, and we've just sort of unlearned that through the years. And there's probably a lot of different reasons for why that happened, but I feel like it once was known and used widely, and now we're just getting back into that. And I do think that like in my lifetime, it will become a very normal thing, and people will look at manifestation the same way that they look at Wi-Fi or electricity. It's like if you go back in time and someone started telling someone in the 1700s about electricity, they would have thought that it's sorcery. Or if you told someone, you know, even in the 80s about Wi-Fi, they would have thought like, oh, that's science fiction. Like that doesn't make any sense. And now it's just an accepted part of our everyday life. And I do think manifestation will be that in our lifetime.
Absolutely. Could you explain a little further what exactly subliminals are, what they do, and then the difference between subliminal and binaural beats, so we all get to understand a little more what are the tools that we're working with and how are they working?
Yeah, so subliminal basically just means below the threshold of consciousness. So I like to use the analogy of a dog whistle, because a dog whistle we know is real. It has a very potent effect on dogs, but our human senses can't pick up on it. And subliminals are the same way. You might not audibly hear a subliminal or visually see a subliminal, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And your subconscious will hear it and will see it. So everything that we see is not really what's there. Okay. So for example, our subconscious can pick up on like 200 billion bits of data. Our conscious mind can only pick up on 2,000 bits. That's a huge difference. So there's all sorts of things in our environment, like radio waves and things like that, that we can't see through our five senses. The subconscious can, and subliminals is one of those things. So the subliminal mind is really what's controlling our life. It's in the driver's seat. It's in control like 95% of the time. And you're only consciously in control a very small percentage of the time. So what happens is all throughout the day, we go on autopilot. And you might have like done this before, where you can recall driving and you kind of like zone out, you're daydreaming, whatever. Well, your subconscious mind takes over so that you don't get in a car accident, right? You don't have to consciously think about breathing. Your subconscious does that. And so your subconscious is like incredibly intelligent and sort of like keeps you alive and safe and all of these things. And it's developed in the first 7 years of life. So you think about a child, and every single thing that they're exposed to in the first 7 years is being soaked up because they are in that theta brainwave state. And those beliefs in the first 7 years become like their core belief system, which is really helpful because it teaches them how to function in society, how to be safe, how to obey laws, how to speak, and all of these different things that are really useful. But the problem is you're also going to pick up on any limiting beliefs of the people in your environment. And a lot of us have limiting beliefs, especially around money, because our parents or our grandparents or our great-grandparents actually did suffer financially, like not having enough food or whatever it may be. And those beliefs are just continually passed down because we're absorbing everything in our environment. So subliminals is a great way to reprogram those beliefs, because after age 7, the only way to reprogram your subconscious mind is through repetition. So we hear about affirmations all the time, and affirmations are great. I love affirmations. I love saying them out loud and writing them. But realistically, like, how many times a day can you say or write an affirmation? So with this subliminal technology, you can take those affirmations and record them, and you can speed them up and loop them so that in a 1-hour audio, for example, you're hearing 900 affirmations. So your subconscious is getting that repetition. And what's really cool about it is your subconscious is able to pick up on the subliminal, but your conscious mind is not. So your conscious mind's just hearing, meditation music or whatever it may be. And that's really important because it bypasses that left side of the brain. It bypasses the side of your brain that would say, that's not realistic, that's not practical, that would never happen. So it's more effective in, shifting those beliefs inside of us. And then with the subliminals, you can pair different things with it. So I like to pair theta waves with the subliminal, because the theta brainwave state, I think of it as like the hypnotic state where your conscious mind, shuts down and your subconscious is very open and vulnerable. So it's very easy to shift it. And you're in the theta brainwave state, like right as you're falling asleep and right when you wake up in the morning. So those are also great times to like think about your goals, for example. So I like to pair those waves with it. And then I pair binaural beats as well. And binaural beats are basically, it's like 2 different beats. You have to have headphones because one's going in the right ear, one's going in the left ear, but together they make one sound. And they've been researched a lot. There's so many benefits. They help improve focus, memory, healing, like cellular healing, all kinds of really good things associated with that, sleeping better. So it's just kind of like an added benefit that I like to put in all of the subliminals as well. And so I think of these subliminals as like the ultimate manifestation hack, because you don't really have to do anything. Like you can be working at your computer and playing the subliminal in the background. You could be sleeping at night and playing it. And you don't have to be like consciously focused. In fact, the less conscious awareness and focus, the better. And it can shift everything. And so we've been doing this in my app, and the results are crazy. I mean, it's been helping people manifest all sorts of things, but also just like improve their confidence and just feel better and kind of quiet those limiting beliefs that we all have that say that you're not good enough, you're not whatever. And so anyhow, I firmly believe that these are like kind of the ultimate tool in manifestation, and you don't hear it that often. So I'm trying to like spread the word of like, there's an easier way, like use these subliminals and you could really speed up all of this, self-care work and, really shift those negative beliefs that are bringing you down and do it in a much faster way than just saying affirmations out loud, for example.
Thank you so much for explaining this so excellently. when did you yourself discover the law of attraction, and what was kind of like the most amazing or also maybe craziest thing that you manifested?
So I first learned about it in 2009. It was right after I had my daughter, and I was young. I was right out of college. My husband just got laid off from his job, and now we had this baby to take care of. And we were just in kind of a difficult situation. We were in a really old house that was falling apart. I mean, it needed to be gutted, basically. And we just didn't have the money. We were living paycheck to paycheck. And I just felt super helpless. Like, I just kept thinking, I don't want to raise my daughter in these circumstances. And like, I want to do better, but how can I do better? And my mom ended up sending me a copy of the book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And the moment I opened that book, I knew, like, I instantly knew that this book was going to change my life. It was like that intuition coming through, right? And I read the book like 3 times, front to back. And I called her up. I was so excited. I'm like, I'm going to change everything. Like, this is the answer to everything. And within 3 months, I ended up manifesting my dream home. So we left that like old house that was falling apart, moved into a house that had everything we wanted, including like a bonus room that I wrote down that I wanted that could be a playroom, office, and workout room. It was in the exact neighborhood I wanted to live in, the school district, and everything, like every detail that we wrote down, it had. And then I doubled my salary at work. I got a promotion at the age of 25. I was the youngest, most inexperienced person to get this promotion, but for some reason, they tapped me on the shoulder for it. And that money was able to like help my husband go back to school. I was able to move my mom close by. And so it was like all of these areas in my life where I had felt really depressed, where I was really struggling, all shifted in just 3 months. So after that, like, not only did I believe wholeheartedly this works, but my husband, who was super, super skeptical, he was like, okay, like, obviously this works. And my mom, and so we were really on board with the whole idea of it. And just slowly from there, like, we just kept manifesting, different things in our life. And I think at that time, I felt like money was the answer to all of our problems. So I got really good at manifesting money, but every time I manifested money, it was always through a way that I didn't like. Like, it was through my job that made me miserable. And every time I, got a raise or a promotion, I had more stress put on me. And that all came to a head a few years ago, where I just kind of made the connection of like, okay, I keep manifesting making money through my job, but what if I could manifest money doing something else that doesn't make me stressful to the point where I'm having panic attacks? And that was like a huge turning point in my life, because I set the intention that I want to manifest a life I don't need a vacation from. Because at the time, the only escape I had was my vacation days. And all year long, I would look forward to the vacation time. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm wasting my life away. I'm only enjoying life like a couple weeks out of the year. This is insane. So I set that intention, and things, it's like where there's a will, there's a way. And like, things just kind of fell into place, and I was able to leave my job and start this business and like truly manifest that life that I don't need a vacation from now. So it's been a long journey, but that's kind of my passion now, is like helping other people understand that there really are no limitations. It's just your mindset, and you get to choose, and whatever intention you set is totally achievable. So that's like such a big focus of mine now, is like showing other people that this is possible.
That is so amazing. I'm so happy for you, and you truly deserve it.
Thank you.
Let's take the example of the dream house. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are the exact steps you took to create within 3 months this huge shift and to manifest the dream house with the extra room and just this beautiful home that you were longing for?
Yeah. So in the beginning, my husband was not on board. Like, he was very skeptical. He didn't believe in the law of attraction whatsoever. And I had to kind of convince him to just play along with me. It's like, I know you think this is weird and it doesn't make sense, but let's just have fun with this. And I am going to prove to you that this works. So, we sort of looked at it as a science experiment. Like, we're going to test it out. And then after we test it out, we can make our opinion or decision around it. So our house was in really bad shape. So I was like, we need to manifest a new home. So we sat down, we got out a piece of paper and we wrote out everything that we wanted. And there were a lot of like vague things like we want 3 bedrooms, we want an open floor plan. But then there were also things that were very specific. So for example, I was like, I am envisioning this bonus room with a workout area, my office, and a playroom. And we wrote everything down. And then we took the action of getting a realtor, which was really uncomfortable because we didn't have the money in our account to go and buy a house. And we did it anyways. Like, we got a realtor and we showed her the list. And the first thing she said was, okay, you're not going to find a bonus room in Southern Illinois. Like, this was a very rural area. And she said, maybe if it's like a new build, but those are all out of your budget. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to get this. And I said, you know what? Just keep it on the list. And if you find one, you let me know. So she starts taking us in all these different homes. And we found homes that were much better than where we were. They weren't by any means our dream home, but they were a lot nicer. And so we found ourselves like almost settling. But then every time, like, something would happen. Like, if we were going to put a bid on a house we could afford, like, someone would beat us to it. Or like something would come up keeping us from getting these homes that we were going to settle for. And one day I came home from work and my husband was like, I found it. And he was like looking on Zillow and found this house that had everything. Like, and it had so many pictures. We were just scrolling through the pictures and we were like, this literally has everything on our list. And of course there was no price listed. So we call the realtor. We're like, we have to go see this house. So she takes us to the house. We walk in and instantly it's like that intuitive feeling. We both looked at each other and we were like, this is it. This is the house. We knew right away. So we look through the house. We go outside to talk to the realtor and she's like, okay, here's the deal. It's way out of your budget. And she said, what I recommend is go and talk to the bank because that way we at least know like what we're working with and what you can afford. And then maybe we can get them to come down on the price. So we go to the bank and we determine that like $30,000, that was the gap. And at the time, that's what I made in an entire year. So that was like unfathomable that we're just going to come up with $30,000. So we just kept visualizing. We're like, all right, well, here's where we're going to manifest, and so we kept talking about this $30,000 and how grateful we were that this money came into our account and, just acting as if we already had it. And every single day after work, we would drive to this house and drive by and we would like joke around like, oh, we're driving to our house. Like, let's go check out how our house is doing. And we totally just played along like everything was great and this was going to be our house. And so anyhow, someone else ended up putting in a higher bid and getting the house. And at first I was devastated because I was like, I know that was our house. Like I felt it. And now someone else has it and I just don't understand. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to choose to look at this as it wasn't meant to be. And maybe there's an even better house around the corner. So I just let it go. I'm like, it's up to you, universe. Like, if it wasn't meant to be, then I accept that, but find me my dream home. And about 2 weeks later, we get a call from the realtor, and she's like, the people that put the bid in, their financing fell through. And now this couple is asking if you want the house. And I was like, yes, tell them yes. And she's like, okay, great. Like, did you talk to the bank and like figure all that out? And I was like, I'm working on it, but just tell them yes. So we're still $30,000 off from this house, but I'm just like, it has to happen. Like, the universe is giving us this opportunity. And we kept thinking of like all the different ways in which we could create $30,000. Like, what could we sell? What could we do? Coming up with nothing. And a few days later, I get a call from someone in my family who had heard through my mom that we were house hunting. And she's like, yeah, I heard, you're looking for a new house. And I really think that's a good idea because I saw your house and you've got a baby, like you definitely need to upgrade and get something a little bit better and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, we found one that we really liked. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. That's so great. And I was just I was gushing about it. Like, I was like, this is just my dream home. And it's in like the best school district. And we were just going on and on and on. And then at the end of the call, she's like, okay, well, I had a account for you for college that I had put money away since you were born. And you didn't end up needing that much money. And so there's money left in the account. And the reason I didn't tell you about it was because I didn't want you to blow it. But I think that investing it in a house would be a really good investment. And I was like, I agree. That sounds great. Like, what are we talking about? 5,000, like 8,000, And she was like $30,000. And I was like, what? And I go running in the room and I'm telling Dustin, I'm like, $30,000. And he's like, what? How? And we're just blown away. And I'm like, you said $30,000, right? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, you know how much money that is, right? She said, yes, but a house is a great investment. Like, this would be smart. And so I get off the call and my husband, like, he's like, okay, all right, I believe now. I believe in the law of attraction because there is no way. And then he's asking me, he's like, did you tell her? Like, did you tell her 30,000 was what we needed? And I said, no, I didn't even tell her we were looking for a house. She just heard that we were house hunting, but she had no idea that we like found something and we needed 30,000. So after that, we were like, okay, this works 100%. And I think the power in it was that we acted as though it was possible, like we already had it. And we let ourselves feel all of the feelings of excitement and joy, even though we didn't have it yet. And I think that those two things are really the key in like stepping into that version of your life where, you have the desire that you want. So yeah, it was so extravagant that I felt like the universe was like, all right, you did your little science experiment and I'm giving you a big result. So it's kind of hard to doubt anything now that we went through that.
This is a beautiful story. And I think I had goosebumps like 10 times. That's amazing. You said you got really good at manifesting money, obviously, in that story. I would like to talk a little bit about money and kind of like, because you teach a lot about money and money mindset. Yeah. So what are the difference between like a poor money mindset and, as you call it, a millionaire money mindset?
Yeah. So I don't even think it's really a poor money mindset. What I think is that we've been sort of like programmed, again, through society, through schooling, to just settle for a very mediocre mindset. And I call it like the middle class mindset, which like we almost all fall into the middle class. And years ago, I got really, really into like self-development books. And then obviously like ever since then, I've interviewed people and I've always paid attention to the differences between the super wealthy and successful and everyone else. And what I found was that wealthy people, they think differently. They believe different beliefs. It's never that they're just smarter or better or that they were born into it. It's just that they look at things completely different. So for example, like a very obvious example to me is the middle class. Like we all teach our kids what, like, okay, you're going to go to college and then you're going to go get a job for a big company that has benefits, 401k, which is what I was taught. And I went and did that and it sucked. Like I hated it and I was miserable. What the wealthy people teach is like, you're not going to go work for someone else. You're going to build your own company and people are going to work for you. So just imagine if you're a child, how different your mindset and your beliefs are going to be if you grow up taught that you're going to be the boss, you're going to make the money, people are going to work for you, versus what the rest of us are taught, which is, okay, you're going to graduate and you're going to go get like an average job and then life is going to be a struggle because making money is hard and that's just the way it is. So it's like they're primed from a young age. Now, when you think about people who are successful that weren't taught that didn't come from wealth and created their wealth, they have a similar mindset that somehow they were able to cultivate on their own, probably because they're very in touch with their intuition that says, no matter what, this is what my life is going to be. And I am not going to stop until I get there. So like, for example, if you look at a lot of different people that did not come from money, like J.K. Rowling, Oprah Winfrey, these like really big examples, these people had the mindset that like, I don't care who tells me no. I don't care how many times I fail. I am going to get there one way or another. And it happened. Like J.K. Rowling, you think about how many publishers rejected her, how many people in her life rejected her. Same thing with Oprah. She was like kicked off of shows. She said she didn't look the part. She was constantly like going against the grain and people were telling her she wasn't going to make it. And she was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you say because I am going to make it. So those are the people that have success. It's not that they were lucky. They just decided that they were going to be successful. They set that super crystal clear vision for their life. And any limiting belief that came up, it was kind of like that attitude that I don't care, I'm doing it anyways. So like, I don't care that I'm afraid, I'm going to do it anyways. I don't care that I might mess up and people might judge me and I might look like a fool. I'm going to do it anyways. Where, the rest of us, like most people in the middle class, we don't have that vision, first of all. And we're so afraid of fear and judgment that we never even try to manifest our dreams because we're so afraid that something might happen. So we don't even get started. And I think those are like the really big differences in just mindset in general. And then when it comes to like money specifically, like I said in the beginning, we're very programmed from like generational beliefs. So even though in today's world, there's more money than ever, there's more billionaires than ever, there's more millionaires than ever, we grew up with our parents who were raised by our grandparents who were raised by our great-grandparents, and all of these generational beliefs that came from like going through the Depression and wars and all of these times where money really was scarce become our beliefs, even though it's not reality, like if that makes sense. So we just grow up with this thought that like, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Making money is hard and rich people are bad, or like whatever the belief was. And so we kind of have those beliefs without realizing we have those beliefs. Therefore, our subconscious, when we're on autopilot, is going to continue to like keep us away from money because it's protecting us from all those bad things. So that's another big, difference where people that have money, like they had to either be taught or they had to learn a new way. So maybe you were taught that making money is hard, but you've decided that it's going to be easy. And you've reprogrammed your subconscious mind because you've just like affirmed so many times that it's going to be easy. So it's just like looking at it as a scary, negative, bad thing versus looking at it as a resource and an opportunity, and knowing that it's just a resource. It's just a thing. It's just digital numbers on a screen. And I'm just as worthy of it as everyone else. And most of us aren't. Like, most of us don't have that worth. We've got all those limiting beliefs. We tell ourselves like, I'm not enough. I'm not good with money. I can't manage money. I wouldn't know what to do with it. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a million excuses. And that's where most people are. And I would say like that any wealthy person that you meet, they just look at it as a resource, and I'm going to get it no matter what. Nothing's going to stand in my way, and I'm not going to stop until I do. And it's so simple, but it's like making that decision versus saying, oh, that sure would be nice, or like, that's great, but they make the decision. And most people never make a decision about their life. They're going through life on autopilot, just accepting and settling the whole entire way. So anyone that is in a situation, whether it's financial or in a relationship or anything else that's mediocre or not good, make the decision. Like, the most powerful thing you could do is make the decision that I'm going to change my life. This is what I want. And I'm not going to stop until I get there. And if you could go about it with that mindset, everything else is easy from there. But that mindset, it's a lot easier said than done, right? We've got all kinds of people in our life that are going to tell us that that's not realistic, we're not good enough. So you got to get yourself in an environment that is going to support you. And that's like the one other thing that I've noticed with every single successful, wealthy person is they get out of their environment, whether they physically move, whether they get some sort of mentor that's already at the level they want to be, whether they join some sort of club or program, they get themselves in the situation where they're surrounded by other people that have that positive mindset and other people who have already achieved it. And when you do that, you have no choice but to level up, because you always end up becoming the average of the people you spend the most time with, just like Jim Rohn said. And most of us will stay in the status quo. We'll stay with the same people, you know, all throughout our life. So our energy, our life, everything sort of stays the same. But if you can get yourself out of that and put yourself in a situation where you're around people who are at the next level, you absolutely will level up. And instead of hearing a bunch of people tell you you're crazy and you can't accomplish it, you're going to start hearing, of course you can accomplish it. Like, why haven't you accomplished it yet? Just do it. Just go and, you know, and it's a completely different mindset, and you shift very quickly if you can put yourself in that situation. So, I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many things, but they're all really simple when you just bring awareness to it and get off autopilot and quit going through life like a zombie and start getting really intentional. You can change everything. So sorry, that was a super long-winded answer, but those are some of the key things.
Absolutely. What I love about you is that you connect spirituality and money. You teach both. And what I observe is that a lot of spiritual people, they don't allow themselves, or they don't have a lot of money. My assumption is because of these beliefs of like money, like is the root of all evil and so on. And spiritual people, like their character and their good heart matters to them a lot. So I would like you, if somebody listening who's a very spiritual person, who wants to be a good person, who wants to embrace their kind heart and serve, what is your take on spirituality and money?
Yeah, well, I think you're spot on. I've noticed that a lot of people in the spiritual community will actually, like, anytime someone says something negative to me, if I post a money post, for example, on Instagram, it's always someone who you go to their page and they're like, I'm a spiritual guru and, all these different things. And I just think it's so crazy to me, because a lot of these spiritual people are doing what they're doing because they want to help the world. They want to help other people. They want to help humanity. And I always ask the question, like, how many people are you helping right now with the amount of money you had? And what happened if I handed you $1 million right now? How many more people could you help? Because it puts things in a perspective that right now our world does work on money. Like, that's the resource that we trade right now. And there's always been an energetic trade, even before money. So that's all that it is. It's just a resource. And some people use that resource in a negative way. Other people use that resource in a very positive way. And if I were to hand you $1 million right now, would that make you an evil person? Like, no, you would be the same person you are now. It might amplify who you are, because now, if you're a very giving, generous person, now you have more resources. So that generosity is just amplified. And I think it's, people try to act like it's so noble to be poor, but it's not. Like, you're not helping a lot of people when you're poor, and you're really not inspiring a lot of people when you're poor. And if you accept wealth into your life, first of all, there's not a pie in the sky. Like, you're not taking from anyone else. And we know that because there's more millionaires now than there were 5 years ago. There's more millionaires 5 years ago than there were 10 years ago. There's plenty to go around. We're not taking from anyone. And when we step into the wealthiest version of our life, we inspire everyone around us. And with that resource, you could do amazing things. And if you think, oh my gosh, there's all these like rich people out there and they're so evil or horrible, well, that's all the more reason why we need more spiritual people, more kind-hearted people that have money, because they can create that change. And I mean, I know a lot of people who became wealthy through their business and have done incredible things. They've built houses for people. There's one woman, Jenna Kutcher. I don't know if you've heard of her, but they put in like a water filtration system for a village that didn't have clean water. So it's like money is a resource, and it all depends on how you use that resource. It depends on the person holding the money. And we need more spiritual people, and we need more women waking up to it. And that's the thing too. I feel like women, for the most part, are more focused on scarcity and less on allowing themselves to receive. And that's just been my observation, just being in business for so many years. But those are the people we need, like, to empower with wealth, because they put it to good use and they make really significant changes in the world. So yeah, anyone that's listening, it is not noble to stay small and to stay poor. You're not helping yourself, and you're not helping the people around you. That's for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing. This message is so important. And I myself noticed a huge shift, because I'm honest, I used to always think like, I don't care about money, like, or that was my belief. And that was truly, I cared about happiness. I cared about the people I love and so on. And money was always like at the list and like top like 100 or something, like down there. And it was such a huge shift in my personal development story and my journey. And that's why I feel it's so important that you're sharing those things to get other people to create that shift, because they deserve all the abundance they want, and money just can't create for the kids so much, like an education, for example, that the kid truly like wants and so on. Like, it's such a beautiful means, up to like building schools and donating and helping kids who are starving. And I 100% agree that we need more good people having money to show like what good money can do in the world. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
My last question to you, since we're like already 48 minutes in the conversation, even though I could go on and on and on, is on your whole journey to truly create the life that you love waking up to, that you're so proud of, that you're so happy with, what were your biggest lessons?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest lesson for me overall is that you don't have to rely on anything outside of yourself. So again, like tuning into your intuition, trusting the wisdom that's within all of us is the best thing that you can do for your life. Everyone around you, there's going to be a lot of people throughout life that try to give you advice or tell you what to do, and that's great, but take everything with a grain of salt and always trust yourself. And every single time throughout this entire journey that I've done that and I've trusted my intuition, even if it went against what everyone was telling me, it's never led me astray. So look at it as like your internal GPS. And if something is coming through and you have a good feeling about something or a bad feeling about something, trust that above anything else. And I feel like if you do that, you'll be fine. And I know that's been the case in my life. So, yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest lesson.
Thank you. Stephanie, thank you so much for the beautiful story that you have, for sharing that, for sharing all your knowledge, for making us understand better how manifesting works and how we can change those limiting, not serving beliefs. And thank you so much for your time. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, I would like to know from you, what was your biggest takeaway and how can you put it into action starting now? Leave a comment below or hop over to Instagram at @HannahWiz_ and leave a comment under the post of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and never forget to shine your light.